Welcome to
Hoovie's Garage Sale!
The dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube is having
A sales extravaganza where every hoopty must go!
well, nearly every hoopty, but I have sold, or I am going to sell, about 12 of my cars, and you can buy my Rolls-Royce Phantom. Yes, you can buy my Rolls-Royce Phantom as it's being auctioned off right now at no reserve. No reserve. So where would I trust to auction off this very expensive luxury car at no reserve? Well, Cars and Bids, of course. Started by my daddy, Doug DeMuro, Cars and Bids caters to enthusiasts of modern cars spanning from the 1980s until today, which is nice since most other online auction sites don't have a specific focus. It also blows away the competition with ease of use. For example, the application process for a listing is very simple. It only takes a few minutes to answer some basic questions, and you upload a few photos, and the representatives at Cars and Bids are very responsive, quickly, and helpful. Now, once you're approved, they assist in creating a listing that accurately showcases your car in the best possible light, and even Father Douglas himself gives his take on your car with a paragraph or two, and could potentially use his large social media platform to promote it. Buyers are in for a treat as well, as the fees are much lower than traditional auctions and many other online auction sites. Cars and Bids also provides a vehicle history report on every listing free of charge. And one thing I really like is the questions for the seller are separated from the regular peanut gallery comment section to make important information easy to find. So check out the link to Cars and Bids in the description below, which is where my Phantom is selling right now at no reserve. So bid early, bid often, bid high for my sake. In a few weeks, I'll be listing another one of these cars out around here. But first, let's go over my Rolls-Royce Phantom, recapping my 2 years of ownership, the pluses, the minuses. Then we'll explore all the cars that I'm willing to sell, the cars I've already sold, and the ones that I'm hanging on to that are still in the garage. So I bought this Phantom nearly 2 years ago from the fanciest dealership that I've ever bought a car from. Is the Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Bugatti, Lamborghini dealership in Chicago on its magnificent mile. But despite it being the fanciest dealership I've ever been to, this Phantom was very much a hoopty. It had several warning lights on, several issues, and somebody thought it was a good idea to wrap the hood in a metallic kind of finish to make it look like a newer Rolls-Royce, and it just looked absolutely awful. The execution wasn't very good. But despite all of its issues, I managed to drive it home from Chicago to Kansas, no problem, and I was able to sort it out fairly easily. All the work on the engine is compatible with a BMW V12, so all the parts are easy to source, the coils, the plugs. There was a coolant leak halfway through my ownership that was able to be fixed with BMW parts, and the suspension pump, which was going bad but still working, was also a BMW part that I could cross-reference. Now, there's a few restrictions to that. It's one of the downsides that'll get to this car in a little bit, but overall, maintaining it really hasn't been any worse than a modern Mercedes or BMW. And let me tell you, this thing is way fancier than any modern Mercedes or BMW. The quality is just off the charts, which I'll show you in the walk around. So they really knocked it out of the park with this generation of Phantom. Before this, Rolls-Royce was combined with Bentley, and it was mostly just copycats, Bentley, Rolls-Royce cars, nothing really that special until BMW acquired the brand and let them do basically whatever they want, cost no object car, and that was, at first, this Phantom. This is a 2005, and the length of it is just ridiculous. 19 feet long. It's longer than a Ford Expedition. The quality is just unbelievable in here. Look at the wood. So much wood. Plenty of cup holder space for your Grey Poupon. And there's plenty of wear and tear with 55,000 miles, but overall, it is in very nice condition. And under the hood is a 6.75 liter V12 that they did an excellent job of making look like a Rolls-Royce, even though it's mostly a BMW engine. Just look at that. Very sharp. So now let's start it up and hear it run, except I forgot the keys inside. Just one moment. The cleverly disguised BMW key goes into this hole here. Push this button with the foot on the brake. And silence. Complete silence, other than the air conditioning. I'll let you hear the engine run for a moment, then we'll do a walk around. Now there are plenty of little things, little imperfections here and there on a car that's been used and loved or unloved by one previous owner that didn't take very good care of it, but I've corrected a lot of those mistakes that he made. But if you look in the Cars and Bids ad, I had very detailed photos taken of all of the imperfections. It should show pretty much everything, so you can check it out there. But now, let's go for a ride in the Phantom. Tally-ho! I'll give it a fairly hard acceleration. And that's 70. It's very quick and effortless to highway speeds, which is surprising considering how big and heavy this thing is, but that's not what it's all about. It's about the ride, and the ride in this thing is fantastic. And it's always been very reliable to me, to the point where it's never left me stranded. There's been little leaks and things to take care of here and there, which is linked in the description of Cars and Bids, everything that I've done to this car. I'll turn off the air conditioning here. Just listen. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's just absolutely silence. You can hear the blend doors opening and closing a little bit as I turn things off, but otherwise just complete silence. It's so well built. So why am I selling this car when I love it so much? Well, I've already done everything that I can do with it YouTube-wise that I can think of, so I run out of ideas, but I also want to go to the next step. I think I want a Phantom drop head eventually. So selling this will go a long ways towards getting me into a Phantom drop head, which is considerably more expensive, but really cool, obviously. So, the no reserve auction, it sells no matter what. The last video I did with this car, I took it to CarMax and they offered me $53,000, which is about 10% back of wholesale. So at a wholesale auction, a dealer would be selling this thing for around 60 and retail would be probably somewhere in the 70s or 80s, depending on how much they wanted to recondition or mark it up. But I'm letting it go, no reserve. Whatever it sells for, hopefully a lot more than the CarMax bid. But we'll see. So check out the listing in Cars and Bids, follow it for the next week, but now we will go back to the garage and go over the rest of the cars that I may be selling or will selling or have already sold, plus the cars that I am keeping. Bye-bye Phantom, and I'm sure there's a few cars out here that you're very surprised to see that I'm willing to sell, starting with this, my 2004 Lamborghini Gallardo with the gated 6-speed manual, and honestly, I don't really want to sell it that much, but I'm a little worried about me keeping it long term because no matter what I do, I'm just going to make this thing worse. It only had 3,800 miles when I bought it. It now has 6,000 miles on it. So I've nearly doubled the miles in less than a year. 2004 to 2019 only had 3,800 miles on it, and now in 2020 it has double the miles. So I'm depreciating this thing the more and more that I drive it. And having that in the back of my head every time I get in and turn the key is kind of annoying. I bought this thing because it wasn't a hoopty. I wanted a car that I could enjoy, and it's been very reliable in that sense, but I'm just not a minty car guy. And now I have this Lamborghini Murcielago Roadster that's about to be started, hopefully finished soon. It has like 16,000 miles on it, so I'm not going to have to worry about driving it maybe 10,000 miles, 20,000 miles, and depreciating it all that much, nor is it a spotless, perfect car, so I can actually drive it and enjoy it. So maybe when I get the Murcielago Roadster back, I may be kicking this thing to the curb. It's hard to believe that I'm saying that. Another car that I've kind of canceled out with a duplicate or a replacement of it is my 1998 Aston Martin DB7. This is another very low mileage car, only 32,000 miles, British Racing Green, manual transmission, supercharged inline 6. It is a hoot to drive, but since I've gotten the Rapide, which is inside, I really haven't driven it all that much. And when I say that much, I mean like zero. I've driven it none in the last 3 months, so much that the battery was dead. I had to jump it to get it out here, which is really a waste. As much as I like this car, there's no reason for me to keep something if I'm never, ever going to use it. So that's why I'm considering selling it, along with my 1993 Chevrolet Camaro. I had the honor of bringing this car back from the brink. It was in a garage for 10 years with a cover on it. It hadn't been registered since 2010, and I got to be the guy that brought this thing back to life. Got to spend all the money to go through it. Back to getting it running and driving again, but since then I haven't driven it. So I'm doing the exact same thing the previous owner did and just letting it sit and sit and sit. So it really belongs to somebody that really appreciates these Camaros. Maybe had one in high school or always wanted one, and this is the nicest that I have seen in years. Only 83,000 miles on it. Another really nice one in red, my 1990 Mazda Miata, only 32,000 miles on it. Another completely mint car that I never ever drive. The battery was also dead on this thing, and it is just, well, close to flawless. It's a showroom example. I just don't drive it. I don't get in this thing when I have a Porsche 911 to drive or a lot of other fun cars. As fun as the Miata is, it's just not something that I'm going to pick out of a lineup to go out for the day. When I do, I have a lot of fun, but I just haven't used it all that much, so I should probably find someone else to own it. I just want to say this right now. I've probably gotten 200 emails of people wanting to buy this thing for $5,000. I have like $8,000 into it. It's not worth the same as a normal beater Miata that sells for around $4 grand. This thing only has 30,000 miles on it. So please do not send me an email offering me $5,000, $5,500. Don't. Just don't. I'll bury it in the ground before I do that. Please and thank you. Next to it is a car. Well, it's not a car that has treated me very well. This is one that I've always wanted, a 1992 Mercedes 500e, and it is finally sorted after more than a year of pain and suffering. This thing has never run right. It has never been good to me in the year that I've owned it, but now that it's finally sorted, I'm just kind of like PTSD with this car. It kept breaking and breaking and breaking. Now that it's fixed, I just get angry when I drive it because it broke so much beforehand. But this is an incredibly rare car. It was a collaboration between Porsche and Mercedes. They built the car at the Porsche factory. They figured out how to fit a V8 in it. You can see it has a wider body on it. This is a really special car that is worth quite a bit of money and probably an excellent long-term investment, but I'm not a very good investor. I more buy these things because I want to enjoy them, and this car really hasn't been that enjoyable. And I have plenty of other fun luxury sedans that I can drive that didn't give me so much heartburn. And we'll head into the garage next to see all the keepers that aren't broken up at the Car Wizards right now. And there's not that many. Most of them are broken at the Car Wizards, so it kind of looks kind of empty in there. So at the Car Wizards, I have the Plymouth Prowler, I have the 1951 Ford Country Squire, I have the Murcielago Roadster, I have the Bentley Turbo R, which is giving me a lot of heartburn too, so that one may be punted soon, and maybe one or two others. I don't count how many cars I have, because counting is the first step in admitting that you have a problem, a buying problem. But inside here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars. So we have 6 cars total, starting with the Jeep Gladiator Rubicon, which is my company vehicle. I drive it for my work with the restaurants, Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, so it's technically not mine, it's the company's, but it is a really fun company car that I can take off-roading whenever I want. And it's been good to me. I haven't modded it yet, though. I thought I'd have it lifted, some big wheels on it by now, but I just haven't gotten around to it. It's such a solid car as is. Now down here is my 1966 Ford Mustang Fastback with a 90s supercharged V8 in it. That's where I got a little mixed up. It's from a Fox body Mustang. Beautiful engine under there. Makes it, I guess, a resto mod. And no, it's not going anywhere. I really enjoy driving this thing. I get a lot of use out of it. My only muscle car, so it's going to stick around. Next to it is my Aston Martin Rapide, which kind of replaces the Rolls-Royce Phantom and my DB7 at the same time. It is a very nice, cushy, comfortable car, but also kind of sporty and fun. So it kind of knocks out 2 birds with 1 stone there, and I really enjoy driving it. It has car seat mounts for the baby as well, and TVs in the back so my daughter can watch DVDs. So it is a very practical family car in an Aston Martin. It's great. Next to it, my 1996 Lincoln Mark. I think I got 8 in there. It's Mark 8. And I keep this because, well, it's not really worth anything, plus it itches my land yacht scratch, my big American land yachts, and this really is the last of Lincoln doing that, except they put a great engine in it, an all-aluminum V8 with lots of power, so it is very fun to drive at the same time, but super comfortable. Above that, my $6,000 Porsche 911 with 175,000 miles. It's just a great all-around car for everything. I use it a lot. That's why I get in this thing and I drive it. I can park it anywhere. Don't have to worry about dings because it is already kind of beat up. So I drive this before my Miata or just about any other sports car. The only exception to that is my Ferrari, my 1990 Ferrari 348, which has over 100,000 miles. So it's also kind of beat up. I don't care if it's in a parking lot. I use it a lot as well. It is just super fun. So that's everything in the garage. Outside is my Ford Excursion, 2001 Ford Excursion with the 7.3 Power Stroke, which I do use quite a bit. I use it as my main tow vehicle. Also, it hauls a bunch of people, so it's very practical, but it doesn't fit in here with the garage update. That's why it's outside.
So that's my Hoopty Fleet update. If you're interested in any of the cars out here, feel free to email me or check out Cars and Bids for the Rolls-Royce Phantom. A lot of you have emailed me in the past, and I've sold
quite a few cars recently, including my GMC Typhoon, my DeLorean DMC-12, my Volvo station wagon that was wrapped all goofy with a bricks on bricks on bricks, and I've sold my Cadillac Alante and my Fiat 500 Abarth. So with everything here, that's probably 12 or 13 cars total. So if you're interested, email me. Otherwise, I'll probably just put it all on Cars and Bids like the Phantom, just because it's so easy and fun, and I know Daddy Doug will treat me right. Thank you for watching.